Hello and welcome to All In with Sergeant Patterson. I am Sergeant Patterson. Today I want to talk to you about All In with Sergeant Patterson, who I am and why I'm trying to do what I'm trying to do. So, first off, I am a retired service member. I spent 20 plus years in the United States Army. I retired in 2018. So it's coming up on 4 years now that I've been out of the service. And despite that amount of time, I don't think I'm ever going to be 100% back to being a civilian. I think I've adjusted about as far as I can go in that direction. Some of the things I want to talk about in my service that kind of drives me to where I am. After 20 years, I've had a wide variety and array of experiences, and some were absolutely phenomenal, and others were, I really wouldn't want to go through them again, and I wouldn't want anybody else to go through them. But a few things that I want to point out about that really kind of shaped me. The first one would be my time as a drill sergeant. I spent 2 years on the trail mentoring hundreds and hundreds and hundreds, up to thousands of soldiers in my time. I really found my love for teaching during that time because even though I was working anywhere between 110 to 140 hours a week, there weren't that many times where I didn't want to get up every day at 3:30 in the morning and get there and take care of my soldiers. It was really phenomenal to me to be able to watch as these young men and women, and sometimes not so young men and women, roll through and realize everything that they can do as they push past those self-imposed boundaries, as they did more and more than they ever thought they could. And not just talking physically, as they took on a new task, as they learned a new role, and they became more than they were before. Not just Joe off the street or Jody off the street, somebody better. And as they become that somebody better, they became that better soldier. And it was just an awesome feeling to be able to help somebody else realize their full potential or understand that they've got so much more that they can give and do. And it was just awesome. And I very much enjoyed doing that. A couple of other things that stood out in my thing is I went to combat several times in my years. The first time I ever shot at was back in 1999 in Kosovo. And then that number has gone up several times since then, been blown up a few times. IEDs, rockets, mortars, artillery rounds, all that kind of fun stuff. 2001, I was one of the first soldiers to roll into Afghanistan and spent some quality time there, chewing up some of the dirt and spitting out moon dust for an extended period of time. Now, I've went several times, and I know there were so many other soldiers that went way more than I did. Unfortunately, not all of them came home, and I knew quite a few of them, and that had a huge, huge impact on me, on trying to deal with the loss of so many of my soldiers. To know that yesterday I went on patrol with them, and today I'm printing a photo of them to put on the wall so we can remember them. That I was helping myself, my staff, my soldiers put together a memorial and then recording it and setting it up for the families back home so the families have a little more closure and they understand how important their soldier was to me and to the rest of the unit. But it wasn't always about loss though, because there were so many amazing things. The way that the soldiers would step up to the so many challenges, to what it brought out in me, uh, was something that you can't really always describe. But there's a lot of things that I still wake up in a cold sweat from seeing and doing. And what brought me back was mentoring and helping other soldiers, being that senior NCO. And it helped me realize that there was a lot of things that were actually broken, unfortunately, in our services. And one of those things is giving time for soldiers to grieve, to cope, to handle everything that we've given them and thrown at them and buried them under. And one of those things was resiliency. Now, the last 7 years of my service, one of my additional duties was an MRT, a Master Resiliency Trainer. And it was something that I wanted to do. And I worked hard to make it worthwhile for those that I got to teach and work with. Because in 2011, the last time I went to a combat deployment, it was the worst combat deployment. I had several personal tragedies that happened along with professionals, tragedies and loss of soldiers. But I was able to bring my troopers home, but I spent a significant amount of time outside the wire in some grueling situations. And I'm very happy and proud that I had other service members working with me. But when I came home, or I got back to my home unit, there wasn't any time to process everything that I had gone through. And I didn't know how to deal with it. So positive psychology, master resiliency are the methods that helped me get to the point that I was able to be a functioning soldier again. But it didn't happen overnight. It happened over years. And that means those few years afterwards, I was very much struggling to do everything I needed to do, because the overarching thing was always take care of the mission and take care of my soldiers. And then, of course, safety third. And I was always a distant fourth. Well, that came to a head when I retired in 2018. If you've seen the movie Blues Brothers, there's an awesome scene in it when after they've run away from thousands of cops and they've made multiple jumps and everything, and they come screeching to a halt in front of the tax building so they can go take care of business for the church. They start running towards the building, and they look back at the car, and it just falls apart. Well, that's what I did when I retired. I had been running for so long and with all those warning lights on and everything, that when I didn't have those arching missions of taking care of the mission and taking care of my soldiers, that I just fell apart. And depression, which I had suffered on and off on for most of my career, sunk its claws into me deep. And at the same time, I started realizing exactly the depth of my post-traumatic stress. Loud noises, crowded areas, and so many others that are still uncomfortable for me today. And add on to that, I had physical pain. I still have physical pain. I know I look healthy as hell, and I try to do everything I can, but I was airborne for half of my career, jumping out of airplanes on a regular basis. I've got more than 80 jumps. And that takes a toll, which is why my knees don't always want to work and why my back doesn't quite right. And every single day since the first time I got blown up, in fact, in 2001, I wake up with a headache that borders on a migraine. And that's something I have to deal with every day. And those things slowed me down towards the end of my career, and they still slow me down today. And those are the kind of things that I'm struggling with. And the things that I want to teach you, the things that I want to work with on resiliency, on building a thing, are the things that I have used to make me still get up in the morning today, to be active, to do things, to help take care of my life, to take care of my wife, to help take care of my friends, and to do anything. Because there was definitely a period of time when I retired that I couldn't. So if any of this is something that you're familiar with, I would love for you to reach out and talk to me so we can talk about it, and maybe we can find a way to help you be better, to survive, not just cope, not even to survive, but to thrive. And I would love to have that opportunity to work with you, to be your senior NCO again, to help you through the mental pains, the emotional quandaries, and to reset, build yourself physically, because those are the things that I'm trying to do for myself, and I'd love to work with you. So please drop me a line at All In with Sarn Patterson, and let's get it done. Thank you.